We all contain magic. The question is, how do you contain your magic?
It connects you to one. Hold the hand of bliss once more until story's done.
Containing your magic isn't about holding back. It's about holding space for vitality, creativity, and alchemy. It's about learning to nurture what fuels you and to release what no longer serves you, so there's more room for you to be you. Your magic is only as powerful as your ability to hold it, to focus it, and to own it. Through conversations, stories, and reflections, this podcast delves into mind-body wisdom, yoga, somatic practices, and self-care as pathways for deep, lasting transformation. Each episode is an invitation to tune in to the pulse of your own magic, to trust it, to honor it, and let it move through you in ways that heal, create, and ignite your fire without burning out. I'm your host, Sonia. I'm a transformational coach, yoga educator, singer, and embodied alchemist. Mind-body wisdom, intuition, freedom, creative expression, love, and joy are my guides. Sprinkle that with a dose of healthy discipline, and you've got my magic recipe for success. I'm here with you today to share the stories, the practices, and the awakenings that truly contain her magic. Let's begin. Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to Contain Her Magic, a space to rekindle your spark, embody your creative fire, and reclaim your light without burning out. In this second episode, we enter the season of the Crone. But the Crone, who is she? When we talk about the Crone, we're not talking about an old woman who's past her prime. We're talking about a woman who's fully stepped into her power. She's the wise woman, the keeper of deep truth and embodied presence. She's lived, loved, lost, and transformed enough to know that real magic comes from within. Her fire doesn't burn wildly anymore. It glows steadily, lighting the path for others. The Crone's power is the power to see clearly through illusion, to embrace what is, and to awaken the deeper wisdom that lives within us all. The Crone sees beyond the visible, through the eyes of the heart, the soul, and the creative force itself. She teaches us to trust the unknown, to rest in simplicity, and to follow the quiet pull of our calling. The Crone reminds us that endings are sacred, rest is medicine, and wisdom is the gift of time, if you choose it. She teaches us to hold our creative fire with grace, not to prove, but to simply be. Her symbols, the waning moon, the cauldron, the raven, and the earth, each hold a piece of her mystery. She moves with the rhythm of the waning moon when energy turns inward and reflection leads the way. Her season is winter, still, luminous, and rich with renewal beneath the surface. The cauldron is her vessel of transformation, the owl her guide through darkness, and the raven, or crow, her messenger of change and initiation to the unknown. Through these symbols, the Crone reminds us that wisdom isn't always bright or polished. Sometimes it's born from shadow, silence, and the courage to face what others turn away from. So this time of year belongs to the Crone. As I record this podcast, it's mid-November, and as the days grow shorter and the air cooler and nature begins to dissolve into simplicity, the Crone appears. It's a season of release, a time to let go of what no longer serves so that renewal can take root. And today, I have the honor of sitting with a woman who embodies this archetype in the most luminous and deeply human way, Joan Matthews. At 93, Joan is a yoga teacher, spiritual counselor, and visionary elder, the founder of the Sutton Yoga Center, which is a sanctuary nestled in the mountains of Quebec's eastern townships. Since 1987, the center has been a sacred refuge, a space devoted to healing, transformation, and the unity of body, mind, and spirit. More than just a studio, It is a living container holding the stories, struggles, and awakenings of so many. Like Joan herself, it is a vessel for transformation, a place where seekers gather to remember who they are. For over 55 years, Joan has dedicated her life to teaching presence, stillness, and wholeness, blending Eastern philosophy with grounded, heart-centered wisdom. Her practice extends far beyond the mat. From hospitals and prisons to the Cree Nation, she has brought compassion, mindfulness, and service to every corner of humanity. A true elder and radiant crone, Joan walks with grace, humor, humility, and unfiltered truth. Her life and the center she built remind us that transformation is rarely a solitary path. When we gather in presence, we heal not just alone, but together. Joan Matthews invited me into her home for the interview. When I arrived, the music was blaring, and she apologetically said, "Oh, I'm a little bit deaf, and so I'm sorry, I'll go turn it down." But it was such a joyful thing to walk into her home and to be welcomed with a great big smile and open arms, and to see somebody of 93 years old loving life and embracing the now and just turning up the tunes so that she could really enjoy them. So I sat down with her in a nice cozy chair and we began this conversation. So hi, Joan.
Hi.
Nice to be with you here today.
Thank you. Nice to have you here.
Thanks. So as you know, this is a podcast about containing her magic called Contain Her Magic. And we'll get into that a little bit later. I'd like to know your thoughts on that. But first, can you just tell us a little bit about you?
Well, that's an interesting question. I've led a life of absolute joy and experiences. I've gone to places that I never thought I would go to, and I have experienced a life of total interest.
So what would you say was the most interesting time of your life?
It's all interesting, but I would say the most interesting time was when I was living in India.
Mm-hmm. Why?
Why? Well, because we had rituals that were unbelievable, such as sitting up in meditation until about 3 a.m. and going for long walks in the Rockies. Mm-hmm. And I would go swimming, and the guru there was sitting on the rocks, and he walked out and he held my head underneath the water, and I thought, okay, this is it. And then he took his hand off, and I came up out of the water like this, and he said, "That's how much you want enlightenment."
In our conversation, Joan opened her heart to share some of the most tender and challenging moments of her life. I was truly honored that she opened up to me. She talked about times that tested her spirit, her self-worth, and her faith in love and humanity. And although I'm sharing some, I've chosen to keep some things sacred. She spoke with honesty, the honesty of a woman who has walked through moments of darkness and emerged with grace. She is also a woman who embraces joy, despite the challenges she may have faced. The Crone teaches us that growth often begins in the shadows, that wisdom is not born from what's easy, but from what asks us to stay, to feel, and to respond with presence rather than fear.
It was a very, very strange experience.
How so?
Because when I got to India, I took the bus way up to Swami Shyam's place, and he was giving a lecture. And when I arrived, he waved to me, and then I walked up the steps to where he was giving the lecture, and he came over and he kissed me. And I thought, that's a very strange thing for a yoga teacher to do. And all the people who were there came later to me and said, did he kiss you? Did he kiss you? And I said, yes, he did. And they said, well, that's the initiation. And I thought, oh boy, well, we'll see what this is about. And I lived there for a year and a half and was very caught between, was this a really good teacher or was he a fraud?
Right. What did your gut tell you?
He was a fraud.
Yeah. And in the end?
Yeah.
It's not the absence of pain that shapes us, but the way we choose to meet it, to let it soften us, deepen us, and open us to compassion, both for ourselves and for others. Joan's story is a living example of that truth, that even in some very difficult seasons of her life, her soul knew how to turn experience into light, and that's what she teaches us to do. For Joan, yoga has always been more than movement. It's a path of healing, of self-inquiry, of embodied truth. It teaches us to listen, not to the mind chatter, but to the quiet rhythm of the body, to sense rather than think, to remember that transformation begins from within. What's the greatest gift that yoga has given you?
What is the great gift that
The greatest gift for you through your yoga practice? What's it brought you?
Getting to know my body and my brain and my heart through feeling. So if I raise my arms like this, as I do at the prison, and then turn the palms up, and then bring them up and interlace them, and it's
And stretch.
feeling rather than thinking.
Okay. So leaning into the wisdom of your body and through
Yes, the
sensation,
wisdom of the body.
as opposed to the mind that fluctuates and
Yes, yes.
plays tricks on you sometimes.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And when I teach, like at the prison, this first finger and thumb, you know, I emphasize gentleness, gentle, and it is simply to have the energy move through the body everywhere.
And it cultivates awareness of that sensation.
And then we turn the palms down and very gently place them on the upper legs and sit there in the silence. And I take music often. And then when the music is over, now feel. Don't think. Feel the silence. And they sit there and, oh.
That's powerful.
It makes me so, you know, I feel like crying, but I don't.
And the fact that they're there doing it together.
Oh, yes.
The collective energy must also help each of them to...
Definitely. And we're not allowed, which I think is a wonderful idea, to ask them why they are in prison. So we accept them as they are.
And I think that really is key to the idea of finding inner peace, right?
Absolutely.
Is that you have to get to know yourself in such a way that who and what you are is perfect.
Yeah.
Just as a person being and breathing and experiencing and filtering life.
Yes, yes, yeah. I absolutely love teaching there.
I can see that. In her 93 years, Joan has lived that wisdom fully. She's learned that what matters most is not what we hold on to, but in fact what we release. Her life has been one of service to those on the margins, to the forgotten, to the underdogs of society, from hospitals to penitentiaries, to the stray dog she once contemplated as maybe God, waiting outside in the cold. Joan's compassion has always extended to the edges. That's the kind of love the Crone teaches, fierce, inclusive, and unconditional. She's also deeply pragmatic, open-minded yet grounded, unafraid to question even her own beliefs. This is a very important question because I think a lot of the people listening to this podcast are probably women. And I'd like to know, what would be your best advice to a woman in midlife right now?
If they can, to follow their dreams. I mean, some women can't.
What if she can't, or if she thinks she can't? What advice?
Well, if she thinks she can't, she's got to heal that thought. And if she can't, she's got to accept what she can do.
And find peace in that.
Yes, and find peace in that.
Yeah. I know that I think it's still hanging in the entrance to the yoga center. It says, "Don't believe everything you think."
I don't believe what?
Everything you think.
No, good heavens. Don't believe hardly anything you think.
Yeah. Well, what do you believe in?
What do I believe in?
Yeah.
Well, when Tim was minister at Grace Church, I went down every morning and I would look up at the beautiful big picture of Christ and say out loud, because I was the only one there during the week, I want to believe in you. Can you help me do this? And then I would close my eyes and, just say, do I believe in God? No. And then, I want to. Okay, so repeat over and over, I believe in God. I believe in God. And then my nature is judgment. And I stop judging myself and others. I stop judging myself and others. And then I'd go out onto the street, see a big fat woman and think, oh, for God's sake, stop eating so much.
Love it.
So that's the work I do, is get real.
Getting real. Okay. I
Yes.
like this. So you've also got a calling. You had a calling towards yoga studies and then towards Christianity as well.
Yes.
Is there something else that comes into the mix in terms of your beliefs?
Yes. And I don't know if I believe in God. What I find amusing is you spell God backwards and you get dog. So what I believe in is the moment, looking at the blue jays eating their seeds and falling asleep. That's it. That's my life now.
The here and now.
And Sunday night meditation.
Yeah, that's good. And I have really one last question about belief, but it's very important
Yes.
to this episode, and that is, Joan, do you believe in magic?
Do I believe in
Magic.
magic? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Magic. Well, I think there are things that we call magic that aren't necessarily magic at all. We simply use that word to call things that we don't understand. And like we can say, oh, that's absolutely magic. But that doesn't mean a thing at all. That's how I would express magic.
So I think magic is your vitality and energy and radiance, true inspiration, joy, authentic self, all of these kinds of things. So
why would we call that magic?
Well, because it's magic, because it's magical. I like magic, that's why. But I think that it's also a concise way of just saying it is all of those things, but I agree with you in that it isn't something that's necessarily so out of the ordinary.
No,
because we
not
all
at all.
have this specialness and this spark.
That's right.
But we don't often recognize it.
Yep.
And sometimes we feel it's outside of ourselves.
Yes.
Or elusive.
Yep.
So that's why I asked the question, because
Yes.
for me to contain your magic is to truly be who you are and to be in love with that.
Yes, yes.
So I asked Joan a question about the black bear spirit that helped guide the opening of the center. And she answered, and I remember more to the story than what she'd said. So after the interview, I got a copy of her book, Stories and Poems by Joan Matthews. And I took a look through, and sure enough, there was the story of Black Bear. So I'd like to read a segment of that story to you. It says, "On my return from the East, I had taken a low-paying job in an esoteric bookstore. Customers were few and far between, leaving me time to discover and read the fascinating books that surrounded me. I uncovered the phenomena of the healing powers of color and sound. I began to study the subject with passion. Nights, weekends, every free moment at work, I was amazed by what I was learning. Above the bookstore, there was a conference room, and every Friday evening, the owner of the establishment would invite speakers to share their particular field of knowledge with anyone interested in attending for the 2-hour lecture. He asked me if I felt ready, and if so, would I give a talk on the subject that flooded my mind constantly, healing through color and sound. With some trepidation, but great delight, I accepted. The evening was well attended, and I thoroughly enjoyed sharing what I was learning with everyone there. During the question period, a woman asked me where she could receive and experience this form of healing. What came out of my mouth shocked me and began a phase of my life that was my reason for being on earth, my destiny. My reply to her was, "Oh, you'll be able to explore this at the center that I'm building in the Eastern Townships." Inside, my brain was exploding. What center? What are you talking about? The energy, force, and certainty that came through me at that moment was big, directive, sure. And although I didn't really believe in such things, it felt like a guide, some other presence, something so much bigger, wiser, and stronger than I was. I had no choice. It seemed that I was going to be building a center, like it or not. But being somewhat stubborn and also feeling deep inside that I wasn't quite ready, I put the project off for 2 years. Looking back, I realized those 2 years were all part of this plan that I seemed to be the vehicle for. I belonged to a cult led by an amazing woman with psychic powers at the time. I followed her every whim and did exactly as I was told. Because this person abused her power, I did not tell her anything about what had happened to me or my plans. One day, she called me and said I was to give up my 1-room apartment, pack up my bag, and take the first flight I could find to the far north. Well, I was to spend 2 years on a reserve living amongst the Cree Indians with no contact, letters, or phone calls to anyone back here. I find it amusing thinking back over these years because of my pattern seeming to have been, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, anything you say. The interesting fact, however, is that despite my impressionable and quote-unquote weak nature, my path unfolded step by step, leading to my eventual freedom and service. Someday I will write about my extraordinary adventures with the Native Indians, but suffice it to say, I did my time and returned and moved to Sutton in 1987. Plans for the center flooded my mind. The windows must be large to let in the light of the 4 directions. The largest window must be a frame for the sunrise. A smaller one would frame the sunset. The roof must be the shape and ratio of the human palate, for sound. It also needed to give the feeling of a palatial, splendid, open space of freedom. Luckily, I had two close friends who were builders who would also accept these rather bizarre structure requirements. Okay, a roof built like the roof of a mouth. Sure, why not? These were true friends. The building unfolded. It grew and took shape smoothly, with much laughter and sharing. One night I had a dream, unlike any I had ever had before or since. A clear picture of a stained glass window. Its shape, dimensions, patterns, and colors were perfect. Clear, no questions. In the morning, I drew it, went to Montreal, bought the glass, and the local health food store owner in Sutton offered to put it together for me. He specialized in stained glass. Within a week, a beautiful window was placed high up in the wall, revealing the beauty and strength of the rising mountains through the radiant colors of the glass. Friends and family painted the outside and put the finishing touches on the building, and by the middle of September it was ready. It had taken only 4 months to be born. The dedication of the center to the glory of God and in service to all spiritual seekers was to be on September 20th with a circle of 20 people who had believed in the project and supported me on all levels. A friend, who was a musician, a drummer, was to create the heartbeat for the birth of this sacred space. Before anyone arrived, I had planned to perform my own ritual with a candle, incense, and chanting in Sanskrit. I was going to slowly walk the entire room, inviting angelic entities to be present. I finished dressing, and with a very fast beating heart, I entered the center. Before I could even light the candle, a huge, forceful, directive energy seized me. My knees bent slightly. My feet began to pound the floor in a firm rhythm, and I found myself moving from one corner, one direction to another, north, east, south, west, and then into the center in an ever-expanding, pounding circle. All this time my voice was deep, rich, low, and very loud, chanting a North American Indian song that I had never heard of. It felt right. Whoever had planned the center was here to open it. When it was all over, I stood still, somewhat shocked, but with the clear realization that this place was to contain and teach spiritual truths, but they must be supported by and grow out of a grounded, earth-enriched foundation. Both realities, above and below, individual and the one, would be honored and experienced in this space. Imagination is powerful. Magic, an age-old belief. Real or not, it didn't matter. But for a flash of a second, I saw and heard him. He was very tall, long black hair, a handsome, weather-beaten face sitting astride a magnificent black stallion. His name was Black Bear, and he was an Indian chief. He had achieved his task, and he had a message for me. This is your work, your learning, your path, your service. Make a total commitment to it, respect it, and get on with it. Don't worry, there are angels here too. We plan to work together. Even though there is no such thing as time, there is no time to lose. Great Spirit says, start now. And that is the story of Black Bear and the opening of the Sutton Yoga Center, and I believe the beginning of Joan's great spiritual journey as a counselor and yoga instructor. And I think that it is an amazing thing that she's able to share this story with us today.
I didn't believe in any of this, what I call nonsense. Mm-hmm. And so the day of the opening ceremony, I walked in there and I was going to do a yogic chant. And I've never had this experience before or since. There was a big chief on a black horse, and I was stunned, and he said, don't worry, North American Indian background and yogic presence are all going to be part of this group and this teaching. And it's true, there's been...
You've done drum circles? right?
Yes,
Yeah.
drumming, and there were all kinds of everything. And it's not the same now. It's much quieter. And I have retired. So
Are you still giving the meditation on the Sunday nights?
I give meditation Sunday nights and I will do that forever. Yes, I love that. And maybe there's one, maybe there's 5, maybe there's 6 people who come. And it doesn't matter to me. It's just the beauty of carrying on.
The Sutton Yoga Center remains her light, a beacon in the valley, a sign above the door that reads, "Let there be light." Her vision continues to inspire new generations of teachers and seekers. Her book, like her center, is a container of experience, full of perspective, humility, and grace. In many ways, meditation is the ultimate container, a space full of nothing, yet holding the potential for everything. It is the void the Crone teaches us to trust, that place where form dissolves into possibility. It's the harmony of opposites, emptiness as fullness, stillness as creation, death as renewal. And that is the wisdom of the Crone, to let go, to simplify, to dissolve back into essence. I'd like to ask you a question about the idea of being an elder. Now,
Of the idea of being what?
being an elder,
Yes.
right? Or the fact of being an elder,
Yes.
right? But the idea that I wanted to explore in this particular podcast is the wisdom of the Crone. And I just wanted to ask you some questions about your lived experience so that you can
Okay,
share.
that's fine.
Yeah. How do you feel about being called a Crone?
I don't care. I don't care anymore about anything like that. I don't give it any attention. What I do is I get up in the morning and I have my toast and peanut butter and coffee. And then I sit in this chair and I look at the birds in that, on the window there. And then I close my eyes and I say, I breathe in, I breathe out, and then I fall asleep.
I mentioned to you in conversation that I'm in the what we call the early stages of the Crone, and I like to use the terminology just because it's the maiden, the mother, the Crone,
not?
and we have similar stories, you know.
Yeah.
The yoga teacher training, I did the same thing.
Yep.
My kids were maybe a little bit younger, but still they were old enough to be left with their father, and then I could reinvest in myself,
Right,
and take
right.
care of my body and do all those things, and then teach something that I was really interested in teaching. But I wonder, what's it like to be an elder when we consider elders in our community?
It's whatever you choose is how you can be an elder.
Can you elaborate on
I don't
that?
know.
Whatever you choose. I like it. I like the idea because choice and freedom
Yes,
are
it's
very
I
important.
mean, I had a friend, she talked about her husband and how unhappy she was as she lived, and, you know, it was fine, but I don't want that kind of relationship. I'd rather stay here and watch the bird.
That's it. So you were feeling that your choice to lead
My
your life
choice
in
was
your
not
own way.
her choice at all.
No. And did she seem, you're saying she didn't seem fulfilled by her choice?
No, not at all.
In this long lifetime of yours, what would you put your finger on in terms of your greatest strength? And if you want, I like to call it your superpower. What's your superpower, Joan?
My great strength?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't
Or a quality?
I don't know.
You don't know? Maybe that's it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, you've been a guide for many people, right? As a spiritual counselor.
Yes.
So in that capacity.
Okay, in that
Yeah.
capacity.
What's your superpower?
I had very clear eyes, and I would look at someone and, well, for instance, when a man would come, I'd say, what are you here for? Oh, I'm here because my wife sent me.
Classic.
Okay. What do you do with anger? Nothing. Well, that nothing doesn't say that you don't do anything with anger.
I hear you.
What do you do with anger? So you cry, and it's all held within. Yes, and then they share.
So it's seeing people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they talk a lot more about everything, and I just listen and watch the face.
Yeah. You're witnessing. You're witnessing.
I just
their,
witness. That's right.
Getting to know themselves and
That's right.
and their process.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is a huge gift, and it is a great power as well, because it's not a given. You know, I think a lot of people wander through life without anyone really getting to know them.
Oh,
and
definitely.
Even more, not necessarily getting to know themselves.
Definitely.
So as somebody who guides others, to offer the space like your center for someone to come and discover themselves, a place of safe
That's
self-knowledge, and then also your regard, just to say like, okay, I see you. You're being heard. You're being
Definitely.
held.
Yep, definitely. And I have 3 wonderful, wonderful children, 64, 65, and 66. My daughter, who's got 13 albums out,
Right, she's a singer-songwriter.
she's a singer-songwriter in Australia.
Was she always interested in singing, or is it something that she
When she
came
was
to later?
this big and she could just first talk, she said, I'm going to sing.
And what did you say to her?
I said, that's wonderful. And the night she left, we stayed up all night holding each other because we were very close and crying. And then she left hitchhiking the next day at 15 years old.
Ooh.
She dropped out of school and she went hitchhiking. And I said, how do you know, like, to get into this car? And she said, I look in and I feel the person, and it's either no thank you or I get in.
So she had a strong
Yes,
intuitive
strong
sense.
sensitivity,
Yeah.
extremely strong.
Well, that comes in handy, and especially as a singer, as a musician.
That's right.
To be able to transmit that to other people, because
That's right.
that's
So, and then my youngest son, who was born right after, he used to say, I'm going to climb mountains all over the world. What he said to me once, which was wonderful, was because I was very into the yoga and the whole spirituality, and he said, Mom, what are you looking for? And he said, and so I was quiet because I was thinking, and he said, is it anything like when I get to the very top of a mountain, I put my arms up and raise my head and I disappear?
that's
So
amazing.
I said, you have it, and I'm looking for it.
So I guess you can say that that's his yoga.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. That is a
And I
great
would-
accomplishment to have kids
Oh.
that are happy and that are, with you, and even if they're not with you in the same town.
That's
It
right.
sounds as though because of the relationship that you had with them when they were children,
Yes.
that they're still close to you and happily off pursuing their passions and,
Yeah.
and living their best lives. So that's an amazing kudos to you. So that's one aspect of creativity, right? As women, we create life itself. We have children, we have them inside of us, and then we give them out to the world, and there's a whole process in that. And that's the mother time of our lives, and it's really precious. But then we get to a point where we're not doing that anymore because we can't physically create, or we don't want to have any more babies, and that is perfectly okay. And I found that now is a time for me, as I mentioned, I'm just entering that phase now, where I want to look at my own projects and how I can create something of value in the world and other than children. And that brings us also into pursuing our passions and our creative desires and aspirations. So all that to say, do you consider yourself a creative person?
I used to be. I was a very creative person. I've got things that I've painted down the hall and on the wall in the entrance, and I was very, very, very creative. Now, it doesn't matter. Creative or non-creative, what's the difference?
When I walked in, you first showed me this, Stories and Poems by Joan Matthews. And so this seems like it's a creative project. When did you do this?
I had a very good friend, Louise Penny, who wrote the entrance, or whatever you call that.
Who's also a famous author.
Yeah. And
Do you mind if I read it?
Yes, sure.
It says, "For years, Joan and I have sat across bistro tables talking about art, literature, music, faith. And I have had the immense pleasure of having her read her poems
mandala.
to me." Yes. "And they are extraordinary, capturing in words and cadence the joy and ache of being human. For my husband's 70th birthday, I asked Joan to create a mandala for him, which has become a family treasure. Joan Matthews is an extraordinary light in our community and beyond. It is an honor to call her my friend." That is lovely. And on the sign over the center, it says, "Let there be light."
Let there be
Let there
light.
Well, I would love it if you would bring some light into this episode of our Contain Our Magic. Contain Her Magic. It is Contain Our Magic now. This episode of Contain Her Magic.
Well,
with a poem or part of a story of your
look
choice.
at this.
Would you like
what
to share
I
something?
wrote the other day.
Sure.
He retired. They moved. He bought land. He built. They left the city to go to the country. He designed a lovely home. Christmas Eve, they went to church. Suddenly, sirens wailing, people running out and fire filled the sky. Driving home, they suddenly realized their brand new home was ablaze. Fire trucks, horses, a crowd of people. They felt disbelief, shock, despair. I was in Montreal. I began to cry. "What are you going to do?" He answered, "Start rebuilding in the morning." Because that was who he was.
Yeah, that's your father.
I had a relationship totally, completely with my father. And my father taught me to read really interesting books and just all kinds of things.
The door's just opened.
What?
The door just opened. I'll go close it. That's interesting. Welcome. We have another guest.
Who's that?
Well, I don't know, but the door just opened as you were talking about your father. Now, do you believe in magic?
Is there somebody there?
There's nobody there.
Oh, boy.
It likely just wasn't latched properly. I'm sure it was just the wind. Maybe the Blue Jays want some more crust. This conversation with Joan reveals something really powerful. That the path of wisdom is woven through relationship. Relationship with self, with others, with the earth and nature, and with the sacred mystery that holds it all. In these connections, we soften, heal, and truly come to know who we are.
One of the most exciting and beautiful times of my life was I divorced my husband and fell completely, absolutely in love with someone called Simon. And Simon and I wrote each other every day when I was in India. I would write about what I was doing and all that. And the night before I was coming home, there was a knock on the door, and it was Simon. And he said, let's travel together. So we went to Kathmandu, we went all over everywhere. And I remember renting this little apartment. And when I looked around, Simon wasn't there. And I looked out the door, and in India, there's millions of people. Anyway, there was Simon sitting on the top of an elephant with a bridesmaid, because that's who he was. He had no restrictions whatsoever. So we traveled all over everywhere.
So, just so I understand, there was an elephant and a what?
Oh, yeah, the elephant was walking through the middle of the millions of people, and there was a bridesmaid.
There was like a bridal procession?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And Simon had put himself up there with her. And I had such interesting experiences. When we went to Kathmandu, we went through woods and were thrown rocks by monkeys. Anyway, the experiences in India were amazingly wonderful before I went to the ashram. So,
and then when you went to the ashram,
I studied yoga, and for about a year. It was a very interesting training, and it was very much for the inside. Like when we were walking, I was looking up at the full moon, and Swami Sham came and banged me on the shoulder, and I went like that, and he said, look at the earth. That's what you're a part of. You're not a part of that.
Interesting perspective. You know? So you've been a guide in your lifetime, and you still are a guide, and it is an extremely important thing, I think, to share your wisdom and we said to be an elder. But who's inspired you? Who have your guides been?
Who inspired me?
Yeah.
My father, Swami Sham, Simon. After my divorce, I had 3 different times, obviously, wonderful boyfriends, if you will,
yeah,
lovers, that were much younger than I was. Simon was 17 years younger than I was. And I think the fact that they were so much younger, and yet they accepted me and wanted to be a lover, had some impression.
So what did that teach you about you, to be with these younger men?
That I don't know, because I thought so little about myself.
Well, what did they must have had thoughts about you. What do you think was the attraction? And I don't mean physically, but I
know.
the attraction to being in relationship with you at that stage in your life and development.
I think the attraction was that there's no boundaries on life. When you feel that you want to do something, also, how can I say that? I gradually believe, and yet I don't believe, in karma. Because when Simon came to a party that my kids gave, he came in the front door, came into the kitchen, and when I turned and looked at him, I raced upstairs, threw myself on the bed and cried and cried and cried, and said out loud to myself, "No, no, no, I do not want this relationship." And yet I had it for 7 years.
Why the confusion?
Why the confusion?
The fact that you had the relationship and you're saying you don't want it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
To me, it was a karmic thing.
Okay, I see.
And yet I don't believe in karma. So
To be continued.
yeah, to be continued. I don't have any idea.
And so in the end of it all, do you regret the relationship? Or
No, not at all.
Did you grow from it or happy from it?
It's interesting that I was thinking that the other day, sitting here looking at the birds. I have absolutely no regrets in my life except how I treated my mother. Because my mother and I were we were miles apart as far as people goes. And one of my memories is sitting in the kitchen at the table looking at a robin who was jumping around, and she was laughing, and that's the only time I saw my mother laugh. And what I do believe in, and yet I don't believe in it, is I have called her in the night when I wake up in the middle of the night and say, I deeply, deeply regret the way I treated you. And I don't know if she gets that message or if she doesn't. Because my father came to a therapy session, which I was having, and he said, "Joan, my daughter and I were alike, and we were totally different than my wife." And I think that's true.
Well, sometimes biological families
Yes.
are not necessarily our soul families. No. I mean, even though you talk about karma and karmic relationships,
that's right.
Maybe there's a little bit of that at play with mother-daughter.
That's right.
Joan, so you're 93 going on 94 years young. You're still teaching or you're offering meditation and also at the penitentiary. And so you're still a spiritual counselor. And I was wondering, what's your key to longevity, to vitality?
I have studied a fair amount about food. I would say I don't criticize those who drink wine, but I don't drink wine. I don't drink alcohol. I used to, but not now. And I'm aware of good food.
So healthy, nutritious food.
Healthy, nutritious food. And I don't know why I've lived so long.
It's not the yoga?
No, I have no idea why. I wake up in the morning and I think, my God, I'm still alive. And I don't know why.
Since Joan has retired as a yoga instructor, the center feels quieter, a clearing. It's an open space with sunlight and birdsong. It's as though the walls themselves have exhaled, releasing what's no longer needed. It's the same lesson the Crone teaches, that in simplicity, we find freedom. Again, thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome.
And I can't wait to see what your next adventures are.
Yes. And what I'm doing right now is I'm an elder who sits in a chair and watches the birds. And Sunday night meditation and the prison.
Perfect.
It is.
If this conversation moved you, share it with a woman you admire, a mother, a mentor, or a friend, someone whose quiet wisdom has guided your path, or with someone who would benefit from this quiet wisdom, the wisdom of the Crone. And if you're new to this podcast, to this space, I invite you to listen to episode 1. What does it mean to contain your magic? A companion journey back to your creative fire and the light within you. And if you're ready to begin your own daily ritual of self-care, I invite you to join me for the 21-day starter challenge for embodied joy. This is my self-care coaching program that's available online, and until Christmas, I'm offering it for just $21, which is $1 a day. The first step is to take action, because a lifelong practice begins with one breath, one day, one moment of presence at a time. All of the details for the 21-day challenge are in the show notes below. As we close this episode, I invite you to take a breath. Feel the air moving in and out of your body. A simple reminder that you are alive, you are held, and you are part of the rhythm of all things. Now, close your eyes and imagine yourself standing at the edge of late autumn. The air is cool. The trees are bare. The earth beneath you is quiet, rich, and alive. You can sense her, the crone, the wise woman within you, the one who knows how to let go. She listens to the wind, to her breath, to the quiet truth rising from within. Take another deep breath. While you inhale, gather everything you've carried this year, all the doing, the striving, the holding. And as you exhale, release it into the earth. Let the soil receive it, transform it, renew it. In this stillness, notice the beauty and simplicity, the wisdom in pause, the freedom in not needing to be anything more than you are right now. The crone reminds you that endings are not loss, they are openings. Each release is a seed, each quiet moment a beginning waiting to unfold. So sit for a while, breathe, watch the birds, and remember, your magic was never lost. It's simply waiting to be reclaimed, to be contained with love. Well, my lovelies, I hope you feel uplifted and inspired. Remember, your fire is sacred. Hold it, nurture it, and let it light your path without burning out. And I hope that you'll join me for the next episode of Contain Her Magic, a sacred space to honor your path, discover your unique gifts, and to unapologetically embody your truth and your joy. I'm Sonia Bayo. Until next time, burn bright and hold on to your magic.
Return to me.